There's good podcasts as well by women about saving money and like looking after your money. You're so right though. There's a lot of like, bro podcasts.
Yeah, like bro-nats.
So I had like, what was it? I had like £2. I had like 2 dirhams in my pocket. And now look at me. I got a Lamborghini. What color is your Lamborghini?
I own the pump.
Guess what, guys? I have another quote. And this one is by this really obscure but very, very cool writer. He wrote a review about this on The National. His name is Maan Jalal. You might have heard of him. I don't know. Have you guys heard of him?
Oh my God.
I read his things every day.
All the time. Same. So he wrote, in its desperation for epic moments, Rebel Moon forgets about the intimate ones, instead delivering microwave popcorn entertainment, which without much to feel, connect, or remember. So it's fun.
I'm sorry. I'm not letting us just move on from you quoting yourself when you could have just said it.
I know. I just felt like I was going with a theme. I used to quote before. I'm like, might as well like round up with a quote.
Today we are going to be talking about New Year's celebrations and what we got up to, but also we've got the award season. It's upon us.
It's here, Hollywood. We are also going to be chatting about a well-known and much beloved character who has lost his copyright status, and our man about town is going to be joining us in the studio to tell us what we should be getting up to this week.
This is Culture Bites coming to you from the National News. I'm Enas and Farah.
And I'm Farah Andrews.
So let's crack into it.
Hi.
Hello. We are back. We're in the new year.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Can we
New
still
Year.
say that? What is the date today?
I just got told
January
off.
the 4th.
I just got told off about saying that. It's like, we can't say it anymore. Stop now.
It's still, I'd say this week.
This
After
whole
next week, don't even wish me a Happy New Year. But this week, I can be wished.
By next week, we'll be a month in.
Honestly, yeah. This morning, when I was getting ready for work, I was like, oh, it's been 2024 for so long. I was like, oh no, day 3.
Yeah, so what did you get up to? What did you do?
Oh, very low-key New Year's for me.
Oh,
How about you?
quite low-key for me too, actually.
Mhm.
I, being new to the UAE.
It's your first time? No.
Well, no, it's not. I just caught New Year's last year after we moved here. And I was just quite excited about seeing more fireworks. The one thing the UAE does better than everyone else is fireworks. Kapow. It's so good. And they were brilliant. I saw the Yas Bay ones for Abu Dhabi.
Yes, lovely.
Really nice.
I've seen a video on your phone. Ines does film her fireworks. She's that person.
I am that person. I took my children down to see it at 9, which was really kind of them actually, because
It's
they can't
very,
stay up.
very cute that they do a children's display.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes. So if you can find a children's display, it doesn't mean you have to put up with like screaming children. And silly string. Silly string is apparently a thing at the moment. Let's not talk about
Probably
plastic
hear
waste.
my eye roll.
Yes, I heard that. Bun, 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 bun. I think that's what an eye roll is in my head.
I like that. I've never heard an eye roll before, really, but now sound effects.
Bun, 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 bun.
We had from not from our house, from at the end of the road, we've got like a little lake that we live near, and from there we could see fireworks on we're in Dubai, so in Blue Water Island we could see the tail of some of the ones on Palm and in JBR, and then one of the golf courses had a really big display, and that was nice. We just wandered down.
Stunning.
This was at midnight, but there were quite a lot of families out, which was nice. Everyone was just kind of there watching fireworks for free with no traffic. All we had to do was walk home.
Nice.
One of the houses on my street was having a huge party. Did I walk quite close to it?
Did
to
you
live
try and gate
vicariously?
crash?
No, I was wearing a jumper and sweatbands.
I'm always quite tempted. You know, here, obviously there's loads of big weddings in the big hotels.
Oh.
I am so tempted to gate crash.
I will wedding crash with you. I've never wedding crashed. I've never Owen Wilson.
Shall we do? I feel like it's a place to do it. I think I'll always be underdressed though. I think even to my own wedding I was a bit underdressed.
Oh, I mean, yeah, you and I are going to have to go rent a ball gown. If anyone
Especially
wants
in
to
Dubai.
rent a ball gown to us, we will wear them and we will wedding crash. But we wouldn't do anything illegal at a wedding crashing.
No.
Obviously, goes without saying.
Yeah.
Completely legit and above board.
Yeah. We'll be friendly. I'm a fun person at a party.
Yeah, I'll just go and have a nice dance, really.
So tell me, New Year's resolutions. What's on the... Come on.
about this.
Oh, she's hesitating.
It's quite boring.
What? Oh.
Yours are good. Mine, I'll start with my boring one. It's just be better with money.
And welcome to the UAE.
Yeah. I've been really trying to learn how to save and also invest. Like, I know how to save, like put money in a savings account, but it's not doing anything. So it is quite dry. I'll talk to our business colleagues.
Yeah, talk to the business colleagues. I mean, they always have good articles. If you can hear the drilling, by the way,
Elephant in the room.
We are actually talking about our New Year's resolutions in a soundproofed podcast studio. However, the whole building is under construction. So
We work in a
forgive
building
it.
site now. It's very dusty. I've not felt it's very dusty and very coffee and noisy.
And noisy. So
sorry about
apologies
that.
for that. But yeah, New Year's resolutions. So that's a good one though. I think getting a grip of finances is always something very healthy to do. Mine is like really basic. I always can't believe I'm saying it. So over the holiday period, and I think lots of people have been doing this, vaping has become a thing. And I'm not a smoker naturally. Like, yeah, I've taken a bit of shisha, maybe the odd cigarette here and there. But I started vaping. I haven't done it since this year.
Oh, she's not vaped in 2024. She's a new woman.
I'm a new woman. But so I haven't vaped this year at all. And I'm hoping to just keep that going because it's just not on brand. It's not on brand for me.
I don't want to be rude. I don't want to alienate any of our vaping listeners, but I do think it's kind of cringe. When I see people smoking a battery, I just think, guys, there's more.
No, but it's like a sweetie.
And then, I've
No, it's
never got
bad.
on board with the and this isn't me doing like public safety and public health notices.
Do you
can't
smoke though?
No, I've never been a smoker. I just can't enjoy walking through like a puff of lemon meringue pie, which is an actual flavour that one of my friends had once. And I thought, what have you become? You used to be cool.
It used to be cool.
You're now smoking lemon meringue pie. Although if I was going to smoke, I probably would smoke lemon meringue pie because I absolutely love lemon meringue pie. I wanted to say one thing about my New Year's resolutions, because in the attempt to save money, I've obviously spent money, and I bought a book.
Oh, lovely.
But wait until you hear the book's name.
Wait, can I guess it?
Sure.
Saving for Dummies.
No, I would never insult myself though.
I'm learning so much about you, Farah.
It's even better. It's
okay,
called
go.
Girls Just Want to Have Funds. And it's a book that is aimed at women because so much investor content is aimed at men, and people, they basically do just kind of platform it to men. And so it's girls just want to have funds.
There's good podcasts as well by women
I'll
about
listen to
saving money and like looking after your money. You're so right though. There's a lot of like, I mean, you know, like bro podcasts.
Yeah, like bronats.
So I had like, what was it? I had like £2. I had like 2 dirhams in my pocket. And now look at me. I got a Lamborghini. What color is your Lamborghini?
I own the palm. Look at me.
Look at me. I have 500 businesses. What
I
do they
traded
do? I don't know.
from one hair grip, and now I own Jebel Ali Palm.
Yeah. Listen to me, brothers. Listen. You're wasting your time on the social media. If you're making social media, you should be making it to make money for you. And you're everyone. Yeah, it's a bit much.
I like and subscribe to your content.
Like and subscribe.
Shall we?
Don't do that. We're going to get cancelled. We've cancelled
ourselves. But just listen, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to start my own finance
We could
podcast.
just change this to be your finance podcast. And you could just talk to us all the time about stocks or Bitcoin. That always gets everybody rallied up, don't it? Everyone loves a chat about crypto.
She's riled
No
herself
one.
up.
So no one ever. Moving this conversation on, Farah, what's your favourite season of the year?
Oh, thank you so much for asking. Am I an autumn girl? No. Am I a summer girl? No. I'm an award season girl. Much like Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek, where I saw that joke from.
So tell me, what is big about January and why is it so important for the glitterati?
For Hollywood.
Hollywood.
So yeah, basically, award season kind of kicks off in full force in the first week of Jan, which is where we are right now. For the kind of basics of it is films released the year before are eligible for award season. So that's kind of why we go up until December 31st for eligibility, and then award season kind of kicks off in January. There are some awards ceremonies that take place in December, so there's obviously an exception to every rule, but the major ones take place kind of from the beginning of the year. The first one being the kind of big kickoff event, the Golden Globes. So they are happening next week. They're taking place in the US on January the 7th, but then time difference means it happens here on January the 8th. So it gets a little bit
because
confusing.
we're in the future.
We do live in the future, yeah. And the Golden Globes are kind of identified by many as the kind of the early predictors of kind of what's going to do well and what isn't going to do well.
In the Oscars.
Basically, that's where it all kind of amps up towards Academy Awards, the Oscars, which are taking place this year in March. March 10th in the US, 11th here, baby.
Because we're in the future.
Because we live in the future. So the kind of, we were going to talk a little, like, so Golden Globes are a kind of controversial ceremony.
Why? I didn't know this.
They've had, in their kind of voting system, they used to be owned by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. And then there was an awful lot of controversy about kind of, there was basically no diversity in their voting panel.
That has come up a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's come up in the Oscars as well.
The Oscars are voted for in a different way, but this is the kind of like the output and the end result, and like kind of Oscars So White has been something that's been spoken about a lot, where the kind of the only people that were winning big awards were white actors. But the kind of problem with the Golden Globes is that they really did kind of boil it down to seeing the fact that there were, I think it was 300 members of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, and there was less than 8. Those numbers come with an asterisk, but it was that kind of disparity were kind of non-white voters, which is
wild,
vast. And so in June last year, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association was disbanded. So that does no longer exist. And it has been, since it's been bought by a private company, so the Golden Globes are going to continue. But it has a board of directors who are now going to select and accredit journalists. So it's still a journalist-run awards ceremony. And they are going to be the Globe's anonymous voting members. So we still don't know who is exactly voting. I don't think we know how many, but we are kind of understanding that there will be better diversity because it's been disbanded and kind of re-pulled together off the back of the kind of controversies of the last couple of years. Golden Globes are film and television, which is quite nice.
So right, break it down to me a bit, because we've got the Golden Globes, we've got Emmys, and we've got the Oscars. These are the main ones, right?
So we got Golden Globes, then we have the Critics' Choice Award, which is quite a big ceremony, kind of in the run-up to one of the major ones, obviously voted for by film critics. So kind of taken as quite a high standard of awards. Primetime Emmys, they are television.
Television.
We have the BAFTAs, they're in the UK. In the run-up to the Oscars, and then the Academy Awards. A kind of other little side hustle is the Grammys. They have got nothing to do with film, but they kind of do get lumped in with awards season because you just see all the celebrities on the red carpet in their nice dresses.
Grammys is musicians.
Yeah, it's just
so you get like more of the musicians out.
Yeah, so it's not a film. It's not
And
Hollywood.
Not anybody can go to these awards. You have to be nominated, right?
You are nominated, you're in the industry, you're connected to the awards. Winners from last year often hand out the awards to the people that get them this year.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about predictions?
Predictions? Yeah.
We can.
I can't think of anyone I can predict.
The kind of big conversation. So obviously last year was not the best year for film or television because of the strikes.
Because so many, like everything got pushed back. We spoke about it so much on the podcast.
Yeah, a lot was delayed, and there were kind of like not the big releases. So films still did come out. Like we still have films in cinema, but we didn't have the big fanfare. Biggest fanfare was obviously around Barbie and Oppenheimer, and both of them have been nominated. We haven't got the Oscar nominations yet, but
Golden Globes.
We have for Barbie and Oppenheimer both nominated for Golden Globes. They're looking okay for kind of getting awards, but a lot more people are kind of identifying Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, which is the film.
I haven't seen that yet.
Neither have I, about the Osage people in Oklahoma in the 1920s. So it's a film about Native American land, and Leonardo DiCaprio is in it. And
that's another Leo film.
Yeah, he stars opposite Lily Gladstone, and both of those actors are being kind of earmarked for Best Actor awards, Best Actress award. And then in kind of comedy and musical, which because the Golden Globe separates with like drama and then comedy and musical, that would be kind of like where your Barbie's going to come through as a potential for a win. But then another film that is looking like quite likely to trump her is Poor Things, starring Emma Stone.
Poor Things. I haven't seen that either. Maestro, isn't that a musical?
And Maestro is also, Maestro with Bradley Cooper, he has been kind of pegged as a potential for Best Actor. He directed it as well, so he could get a director nod. He's been nominated. Poor Things looks good. It's a kind of female Frankenstein kind of vibe with Emma Stone, Rami Youssef, who is...
Love Rami Youssef.
And Willem Dafoe. So that's looking more likely to get the kind of comedy musical award. That has not been released here yet.
Okay.
It's quite rude.
Is it?
So it might not go into the cinemas.
Oh, that's okay.
It's okay.
That's okay.
It might stream.
It might stream.
And then you can use your own discretion as to whether or not
you want to watch something that's a bit rude.
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay.
So then television, the big names are...
What? Are we going to mention The Bear?
I mean, yeah, obviously, The Bear is going to win comedy.
Okay.
Is it? Yeah.
Do you feel like
I
it's
really
funny?
Do. It's in the comedy comedy category. And
okay,
I do
I'll win
think there
then.
are moments
Whatever.
of comedy.
Yeah, no, there are.
And then Succession is just going to clean the board. Like I was looking through in prep for this. Look at me, I prepped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Succession actors have been nominated for either Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor or Actress.
Amazing.
So they are
winning.
Yeah. I think it's Jeremy Strong, Kieran Culkin, and Brian Cox are all nominated for Best Drama Actor. So they can't all win.
But in some ways, they all do.
Who would you have? I'm saying Brian Cox.
I mean, I really like Culkin.
So do I.
I think he's really good. And I liked his character. And I think that he actually made the character in so many ways. Like, not that Brian Cox, it's my favorite show. Yeah. Right?
She said
it's my favorite show. So I do think they're all fantastic. But I did feel like Kieran Culkin held that role and made it into something so iconic that you cannot separate him in some ways from that now.
Yeah. And it also is very Jeremy Strong's character of Kendall just to not win it. So
Kendall can't win it.
Kendall can't win it. Not spoiler.
Oh no. Listen, if anybody is watching this or listening to this podcast and doesn't watch Succession, I'm really sorry, because that must have been a bit boring for you. That gag was just a little bit boring.
Fell on deaf ears. But is it award season? I'm hyped. I'm ready for it. I will be getting up super early and writing about it and reading about it and enjoying it.
So what time does it air here and how do you watch it?
They're all different, but they tend to kind of start, like red carpet will start at 3 a.m. I don't wake up for that. But the awards shows, because it's in LA, so it's a 12-hour time difference.
Yeah.
It tends to be about 5 p.m. in LA. 5 a.m. here, big things start kicking off. Because then they all go party all night.
Yeah.
So the award ceremony is actually the bit they just want to get out of the way.
So they can just go and party.
Yeah.
In their lovely gowns.
Oh, so lovely. There'll have to be like an Oscar special where all I do is talk about the gowns because I care about them a lot.
I think we've already been discussing about Met Gala and that we should just do something that's very show and tell.
Future plans, baby.
So something else has happened this week, and we're going to be moving on to the loss of copyright to a little cartoon character.
Let's look back. Let's look backwards after looking firmly forwards.
Yeah,
Mickey Mouse, the very original
cartoon
depiction of Mickey Mouse has lost its copyright, or I should say more accurately, his copyright has expired. So this took quite a lot of understanding for me. So
I was going to say, right, explain it to me, because I've come to this. I mean, I have read up about it, people. Okay, I've done some reading, but explain.
So this is very US specific, right?
Okay.
In the US, copyright expires after 95 years, but there are a couple of caveats. But the main thing is that if content was produced before 1978, copyright has a shelf life of 95 years in the US. In 1976, there were some new laws written, and that came into effect in 78. So everything kind of changes at that stage. But obviously, that means that kind of like the characters that we know as like some of the most famous and iconic, like Mickey Mouse, they were kind of originally created in like the early 20th century, kind of like 100 years ago, 95 years ago. And so that's why, Walt Disney's original depiction of Mickey Mouse and the kind of character that has had its copyright expired is from the 1928 short black and white film called Steamboat Willie.
Yes, I remember seeing this.
It's that depiction of Mickey Mouse that has...
So they're kind of black and white. He's got a longer nose.
Yeah. So it said, according to the parameters of fair use,
Oh, wow.
it's only the character portrayed in the black and white short that has been made available and not Mickey himself. So it's not like the kind of Disney emblem that we see everywhere.
Like the gloves, the red...
No, it's the character from Steamboat Willie.
Yeah.
So, it is really interesting. It's the kind of fact that these characters that obviously for our whole lives, our parents and our grandparents' whole lives have kind of like been around, are now kind of, they've had such a powerful like life cycle and they're kind of coming, like copyright is expiring.
So the doors are open.
Yeah.
And so we're flinging these beloved characters into the world because there's no longer any copyright.
Yeah, so there's like a few kind of coming up that we've kind of identified as the next characters that are going to be, like their copyright is going to go public.
Oh.
So you've got Pluto, because he will potentially be made available in 2026 because he made his first appearance in 1930. And then... going from there, we've got like Donald Duck and Daffy Duck in like 2030. So it's kind of looking forward. And then interestingly for DC, Superman and Batman will be, their copyright will be potentially, their character will be potentially available in 2034 and 2035, followed by Wonder Woman in 2037.
So, but what does this mean? Does this mean that people can then take these images and not get sued? Yeah,
it means that the character can be used elsewhere. So what we kind of... the kind of most famous case of this happening in recent years is with Winnie the Pooh. A.A. Milne's US copyright on Winnie the Pooh expired on January the 1st, 2022. So that was like 95 years after. So that was like kind of like the first day of the 96th year. And kind of what we saw almost immediately was a horror film with Winnie the Pooh as the main character, which I have the name of the horror film. Oh, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
They really pushed the boat out with that.
And so that's going to be out this year, next month. We might see the kind of, the way we've spoken about Winnie the Pooh and the fact that the character's been taken into the horror realm. And then yesterday was the day that the kind of the Mickey Mouse character was kind of public property. And what was the first thing we saw?
Another horror.
Yeah. It's going to be a horror film.
Really? A horror with Mickey Mouse?
And,
I mean, to be fair, he's quite scary, a big giant mouse.
And also a video game. So the horror film is Mickey's Mousetrap. And then there's a video game called Infestation 88. And the video game had its trailer released yesterday. So obviously the kind of question is like, why the kind of first reaction is horror or video games. I guess it's like kind of like subverting like the very familiar and like what we know this character so well, so we don't kind of have to like create like a big backstory for a character, and then there's just like a real shock factor of when that character is terrifying. Like I don't think that the Winnie the Pooh film isn't out yet. It's out next month. But there was definitely a lot of conversation about it when every single one of the trailers came out. People react to it, and I guess that's what filmmakers want, right?
Yeah, it's provocative.
Definitely.
Like at its core, to do something like that with a character which is a childhood character. I suppose it goes back to like how we, make horror from clowns.
Exactly. That's
like,
what I was just thinking. The fact that something so like comforting can be scary.
Exactly. We use those kind of things which you associate with comfort, and then we make them into Chucky, like a doll or
I'm not a scary movie gal on myself. I've never seen any of the It films. They're the ones with the scary clown that lives in the drains, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it either. I wouldn't see anything like that.
I've not.
Why? The world is a terrible, horrible place. I don't need to scare myself.
Some people like watching it though, just to kind of. We've spoken about the fact that I'm a catastrophizer, so my brain does this for me. But some people like seeing worst case scenario play out on screen, then kind of be like, it's always going to be better than that.
I think it's also the endorphin release from horror. I think people like that kind of fright factor, and it just gives them a little zing.
Oh, I don't. Ooh! I can get zings elsewhere. I don't want a zing from it.
Chocolate.
Yeah, that's a good
roller coaster.
We've spoken about lemon meringue pie.
And it's my favourite time of the podcast.
Here we are.
It's when we bring in Maan to tell us what to do around town.
Hi guys. First of all, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
What to do around town? There's so much in the new year to do. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is an amazing show by an Emirati conceptual artist called Afra Al Dhaheri. First of all, do you guys know what conceptual art is? It's okay if you don't.
I don't.
In my head, I'm like, do I know it? But now you ask me for a definition. I'm like,
I always like to think I'm so clever. And
I'd be
then
like, yeah,
what?
I go to conceptual art shows.
Yeah, I go to galleries.
Lots of people just have heard the phrase, but they don't know what it means. So conceptual art is art that is more about the concept or idea as opposed to the execution of the art. I actually
give me like a
come
good
prepared.
example. Oh, hello.
Yes.
Serious.
So I have
He's
a quote
teaching us.
by the famous conceptual artist Sol Lewet. So he said, when an artist uses a conceptual form of art, it means that all the planning and decisions are made beforehand and the execution is a perfunctory affair. Meaning it doesn't kind of matter what the art looks like. It could be my jacket, this chair, a hair tie. And as long as it's in a gallery space and there's an interesting concept behind, it's considered art.
So is that like the banana stuck to the wall at Basel?
Banana stuck to
No, it was in Miami, was it?
That was in Miami, yeah.
There was
And
a bit
then-
of blue tack once. I remember I went to go and see it at Tate.
Yeah.
And it was to symbolize nothing.
So
It's quite smart.
Usually there is a big concept behind it. Now, conceptual art has changed over the years, and now it's there are strains of it that are focused more on the technique of the materials. So it looks good, but it's mainly conceptual. So this artist, Emirati conceptual artist Afra, so she has a show called Give Your Weight to the Ground. So it consists of 6 sculptures and 2 paintings, and it starts with the concept of hair. So she was interested. Everyone looks at Enas.
What? Why are you looking at me?
Yeah. Me? Something about me special?
Stop.
So it started with this idea of when she was young and her hair would fall out, as it does, and her mother told her to bury her hair in the houseplant soil because it nourishes the plant, because apparently hair nourishes plants. And so she became really interested in this idea of our bodies going back to the land and helping the earth to grow in some way. So she started with this idea and created artworks about the relationship between the body and the landscape, the body and the land. And she uses material like stained wood, concrete, and ropes to symbolize hair, to create these sculptures that are like quite colossal, and they're like geometric, and some of them are very like soft looking and very curvy. And you walk in and it's the way they've had the lighting and the way the sculptures are curated in the show. It's kind of a space where you feel you have to be quiet and just like watch. Do you know when you see a big, amazing sculpture and you just have to just sort of be quiet and observe it?
Yeah.
She managed to sort of create that kind of sense of awe in the space.
And they're big.
They're pretty big. They're not like huge, not Burj Khalifa size, but they're big.
Literally nothing on
Nothing.
Earth.
I don't think anything is, yeah.
Actually, nothing on Earth. But yeah, so she has done this show about, and what's really cool is that she planned it so meticulously. She built the gallery in her studio, the exact same dimensions of the walls, and she created the works and reorganized them so she can create this perfect experience for the audience.
Wow. And
So,
she's
yeah.
Emirati as well,
She's
which
Emirati.
is fantastic.
Yeah. So it's really cool to see an Emirati artist working in the conceptual art field. So go check that out in the Green Art Gallery in Alserkal Avenue.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So next show that I think you should also go watch is at the Sharjah Art Foundation. It is a retrospective of a South African artist called Gavin Jontes, and it is his work from 1973 to 2023, so almost 50 years. Now, he's, like I said, a South African artist. He was born the year the apartheid regime started in South Africa. So
Wow.
a lot of his work, and he is a painter, printmaker, curator, writer, all of his work has been about the Black liberation movement. And the apartheid ended in 1992. And even after that, his work really focused on that. And actually, again, I come prepared with a quote. Yeah, I know. I'm
We're
all
just
prepared
learning
today.
so much today, Farah.
It's an educational podcast.
It is.
So this is a quote from the curator of the show at Sharjah Art Foundation, Salah M. Hassan. And he says, as an artist activist, Jontes has engaged head-on with the tensions between Western modernism and classical African art and the trope of primitivism in Eurocentric art historical discourse. So what that means is that Jontes looks at what people have always seen as primitive art or African art, and creates work that bridges kind of, or creates a conversation between what is real art or good art. Because I'm not sure if you guys know, but Pablo Picasso, a lot of the time he used African art to compare to Western art, or he used it in his art and referred to it as primitivism. I can't say that word now. Primitivism art.
We're all learning.
We're all learning. So he kind of creates these conversations about, what is African art? Is it like sort of like traditional art, or is it up to the same elevated level of what Western art is? And is Western art, should that be elevated? He kind of creates all of these interesting connections between the two.
Well, Cubism was massively influenced by African art.
Yeah.
So I think there's loads of influence which has happened like across the board, right?
Exactly. And I think it's the same idea of there shouldn't really be this hierarchy. It's all different voices that are sort of talking to each other.
Do you think that
a Western narrative of a hierarchy, though?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think that sometimes the term even primitive was used just towards things which were culturally maybe more ancient?
Ancient or different, or as a way to differentiate, like this is...
It's like the other, isn't it?
It's othering. And I think artists like him are so interesting because he's coming at it from his perspective, but he also has the Western school of thought of art as well. And so he's bridging that gap in a really interesting way. And listen, if you're not even interested in these kind of conversations, just going there and seeing his work, it's really epic. Like he has big, amazing paintings. He has small prints. He has print works. And you just see his over the last 50 years and how his art has changed. It's really fascinating.
I think a lot of artists are trying to bridge that gap as well. So I think there's like lots of takeaways from an exhibition like that. That's really interesting.
Is that exhibition running for
It's running until March, the end of March. So it's on for a while,
Okay.
There's even a small documentary where you hear the artist talk about his work in the 80s, I think. So there's lots to do there when you're there.
Is it quite bold?
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
Colour? Big colour?
Color, bold, color, big pieces, big compositions. And it's so cool seeing how his work at the very beginning of his artistic career and then now what he's doing and how different it is if you put them side by side, but then seeing how they connect as you go through all the galleries and see how his art changes.
Nice.
So that's why I love retrospectives, because you see the whole thing,
And I like a chronological journey.
Exactly.
That's like what's so nice about that.
Yeah. Right then. So last thing on your list that you want to tell us that we should see.
Yeah, I mean... you
controversial.
Are you guys
he's hesitant.
Brace yourself.
Man's about to cut all of our ties with Netflix.
I thought Netflix were on the phone to us, didn't they? Oh, no, not after this.
No, listen, it is in the top 10 movies to watch on Netflix.
Yeah.
It is an entertaining movie. It's called Rebel Moon. It's a sci-fi space opera. Do you guys know what a space opera is?
My husband's obsessed.
Yeah, so it's like a big
Spaceships.
Spaceships, big drama, big quests happening in space. Yeah. And that as well. So this is by Zack Snyder, who people might know him as the director of 300, that epic film that came out like over 15 years ago, I think.
I don't remember. I was too young.
Yeah, I was still in primary school. But it's a big sci-fi, beautifully stylized, wonderfully choreographed film that you will enjoy looking at. However, the story is lacking. You kind of don't really... So basically, it's about this woman with a mysterious past. Her name is Cora. She lives on a planet on the edge of the universe in a farming village. And then one day, the most powerful army in the world show up to this village and they're like, of all the random villages in the universe, we want your grain for our soldiers. And if you don't give it to us in 10 weeks, you're all just going to die.
Wow.
So she decides to go around the galaxy and find 5 soldiers, just 5, I think 5 or 4, to help bring down this huge army that has randomly chosen their village. So on that premise alone, it makes absolutely no sense.
Well, I'm trying to find the words because you're saying it doesn't make any sense. I mean, the farming on the outskirts of the galaxy.
It's a
barely
planet.
makes sense.
It's a moon. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you
please.
farm on a moon?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So, that doesn't make sense. Okay.
I'm not an expert in this genre,
I don't think it's meant to make sense.
but it sounds a lot like Star Wars.
This is the thing, is that people are like, this is just a ripoff of Star Wars and The Last Samurai, I think. And he's kind of like, look, and it's normal for these directors and writers to take things and be influenced by things. I mean, Star Wars was influenced by Dune, you know?
Yeah.
But it's about how you disguise and change them and make it unique. And the problem here is that it's not very unique. And there's a lot of exposition, like a lot of stating the obvious. Like throughout the whole film, they keep saying literally, we're just humble farmers. We're just humble farmers.
That's how I talk about myself.
Yeah.
I'm just a humble journalist.
Like every 5 minutes, it's like, okay, we get it. We've seen you in the farm being humble. Like, don't keep telling us that you're humble farmers. You know, this kind of stuff just like irks me.
Sometimes it's nice just to escape and just to be told.
Is it a bit of a mindless watch?
100%. And guess what, guys? I
You
have
got a
another quote. And this one is by this really obscure but very, very cool writer. He wrote a review about this on The National. His name is Maan Jalal. You might have heard of him. I don't know. Have you guys heard of him?
Oh my God.
I read his things every day.
All the time. Same. So he wrote, in its desperation for epic moments, Rebel Moon forgets about the intimate ones, instead delivering microwave popcorn entertainment, which without much to feel, connect, or remember. So it's fun.
I'm sorry. I'm not letting us just move on from you quoting yourself when you could have just said it.
I know. I just felt like I was going with a theme. I used to quote before. I'm like, might as well like round up with a quote.
Okay.
Quote, if you can't
I
quote
love
yourself,
that.
who can you quote? Listen.
Yeah, exactly. If you can't
And
quote
I
yourself.
said, I love that.
And you were delivering sound bites in that review.
Oh yeah, perfect. That's what we
Sound
need.
bites and sound effects from this podcast.
So if you want something to watch that, you know, is just entertaining and fun, go for it. But don't expect that your life is just going to change.
I mean, did anyone go to a
Excuse me?
sci-fi?
I know what you're about to say, and I'm going to stop you right there. Yes, of course. Our lives changed after Star Wars. Of course,
Okay,
our lives
fair
changed
enough.
after Star Trek. Please, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Fair.
Well, some of our lives.
Question for people like me who have the tendency to fall asleep when watching films at home. How long is it?
It's not that long, actually, because it's the first of two, I should say. Another thing that really irks me, I think movies should be 3 movies, a trilogy, or just 1 movie or a show. But this is just 2. So it's a saga. So I think it's like your standard 2 hours.
Is that the definition of a saga?
Don't quote me, but I believe so. 1 of 2,
Quote.
because it's called Rebel Moon, Child of Fire, Saga 1, or something like this.
Ah.
Not sure, but I do also want to be like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Ah.
we can circle back on this
Should we
for
just,
next week.
can we put a pin on it?
Yeah, we put a pin on
Next
it.
week we'll put
on it.
I'll find a quote on sagas.
We'll arrive and we'll clear up the saga about sagas.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much, man. That's it for today. That's all we've got time for. Thank you very much.
And if you like this episode, please follow and subscribe on your favourite podcasting app. See you next week. Bye.